I have Blowhigh looking after me for this video, and a tiny little peach. Can you see the little peach? I wonder who the peach is for. Hey Spuds, it's Jamie. Welcome back to another video. If that's what channel. I don't know, but welcome either way. I'm very glad to have you here for this time's installment of Transvestigators. For anyone who doesn't know what a transvestigator is, they are basically people who have a conspiracy theory that a large portion of the population, mostly people in power and with money and fame, are actually trans, and them transitioning is the cost they have paid. Very bizarre, I know, and some people take it even further to say that the trans community are very, very large and very, very powerful and are everywhere in like the top governments and very rich and famous people and have control over things, and it's very, yes, something else. But today's video we're going to be looking at some people who are doing the transvestigating. Yes, we're going to look at some people who've been transvestigated and why the transvestigators thought that they were trans. It's really very bizarre. I don't think I can say that enough about this topic. Shall we just get into it? Very interesting one to kick off the video. You ready? Macron's filed defamation suit against US influencer Candace Owens. Conservative influencer Candace Owens sued for defamation over claims that France's First Lady is a man. Does that not sound satirical? I feel like if you'd said 10 years ago that this would be a legitimate headline, I'd have gone, what? Are you serious? What is happening? I mean, Candace Owens has been saying some very bizarre things for quite a while now, but this one really takes the biscuit, does it not? If anyone's interested, this is some of what she was saying about France's First Lady.
I stumbled upon quite a pretty big situation that has been going on in France, in that it has gotten so big that, yes, Macron has been tasked now with going out to the public and trying to dissuade them from believing that his wife, Brigitte Macron, was actually born a man.
Brigitte Macron was born a man. Brigitte Macron was born Jean-Michel Tourneau. He lived as a man for about 30 years before transitioning, accusing Brigitte of and, quote, I would stake my entire professional reputation on the fact Brigitte Macron is in fact a man.
What an odd thing to say. French President Emmanuel Macron, I'm really sorry if I'm butchering the pronunciation of that, and his wife Brigitte have filed a defamation lawsuit against right-wing influencer Candace Owens, who claims that France's First Lady was born male. Owens has regularly repeated the claims on her popular podcast and social media channels, and in March 2024 stated that she would stake her entire professional reputation on her belief that Mrs. Macron is in fact a man. She's now being sued for saying these things, so I guess she kind of has staked her professional reputation on saying it. The thing is though, why do you give a shit? One, why does it matter if she were? And two, why is it any of your business to go saying it? I have no idea. I do not know her personally, but what a really weird thing to go about saying, whether it's true or not. Just why? Someone else that gets targeted a lot and transvestigated a lot, and not just by one individual person, but by a lot of people within, I don't know, transvestigators a community, should we call them that? I'm not sure. Conspiracy theorists that talk to each other. But somebody else who gets transvestigated a lot is Michelle Obama, and like there is a lot within transvestigation that is rooted in racism as well, and it's often women of color who are called men because of deep-rooted racism. How lovely, transphobia and racism. What a shocker to find them together. We're not surprised at all, are we? Anyway, for those who have eyes to see and aren't drinking the Obama and MSM Kool-Aid, the Obamas are the biggest fraud that has ever been forced on the American people in history. I'll show the full-length image, but I'm gonna blur what the arrow's pointed to because it's not pointing to anything, which you can see in the full-length image. I just think it's really inappropriate to zoom in on somebody's crotch like that and point.
It's a bit creepy.
And they've gone, that's a penis, to what can only be described as a non-existent bulge. Like, Andrew Tate has been called a woman for having a significantly larger bulge than this. They've said his bulge is too small and therefore
He must be trans.
But Michelle Obama having the teeniest little wrinkle in her trousers around the crotch area somehow warrants people zoning in on her crotch and saying that she has a penis. I told you this was going to be weird. I thought we could have a little look further into why people may be transvestigated investigate Michelle Obama so much. Why do right-wing transvestigators believe Michelle Obama is a man? The online right is lost inside an emasculation fetish. Welcome to the world of the transvestigators. The West is falling, family values are under attack, and Michelle Obama is secretly a man. The three pillars of the conspiracy theory.
Conspiracy!
The objective of this conspiracy among far-right internet sleuths is to use phrenology to prove that cisgender celebrities, namely the wives of political figures, are secretly transgender, or inverted, as they are typically referred to. These detectives scrutinize the physical features of these women from their height and voices to their jaws or energy. Her aura is masculine, in search of supposed deviations from arbitrary beauty standards that they set themselves and then contradict themselves when they're trying to transvestigate other people. It's all very... I'm not going to say it again, you know what I think it is.
Bizarre.
While it began with posts about the former First Lady and Angela Merkel, transvestigation has now proliferated throughout the online far-right ecosystem, where each new day brings another avalanche of outlandish claims and AI transvestigation sludge. AI transvestigation sludge. That is what we are doing in this video. We are having a look at it and hoping that it does not turn our brains to sludge, as transvestigators really do seem to suffer from brain rot. So yeah, that's a little bit of the background. Do we all understand a bit more about transvestigation? Good. Lucille Ball. I don't know who Lucille Ball is. Lucille Ball. She was an American actress and comedian. What has she done? She died back in the 80s. That is not relevant. I just read it on Wikipedia. Male skull, square face, short forehead, eyes far apart, wide cheekbones, wide, square jaw. Hashtag transvestigation. Really?
Are you for real?
They simultaneously claim that being trans is this new phenomenon and taking over the world, yet also stating that a woman who was in her late 70s and the 80s is trans. Honestly, the whole male skull, female skull, they will literally overlay the skull on a person's face where that person has skin and muscle and fat on their skull, therefore hiding a lot of the specific shape of their skull. And they'll be like,
haha, this Lucille Ball has a male skull.
When quite clearly the male skull does not fit the shape of her face. But even if it did, who gives a shit? But also, you can't tell the exact shape of somebody's skull when they are alive and there is stuff on the skull. I'm also very confused by this eyes far apart. That is one I've not come across in transvestigation before. They've thought of something new.
Just trying something new.
People, it's time to wake up. These are all men. And then they've got a bunch of women celebrities like Amy Winehouse and Madonna and Sandra Bullock, Miley Cyrus, Jennifer Aniston, Keira Knightley, Rihanna, a bunch of other people, Beyonce. Biomarkers don't lie. Okay, so this is what they think the biomarkers of women are. Small jaws, tapered in chins, straight foreheads, shorter arms, small ears, soft eyes, V-shaped chest clavicle. Yes, the clavicles are a big one. Apparently, if your clavicles, this bone right here, goes straight across, you are man. But if it's this angle that you can achieve by simply tilting your shoulder up slightly, then you are woman. Men. What do men have? Large square jaws, elongated face, sloping forehead, brow ridge, long arms, large ears, straight clavicles. I like how they're specifying. I mean, I don't like anything, but I'm intrigued by their specifying of arm length, because typically this goes in line with height. So it's not to do with your gender. If you have long arms, you are likely tall. Maybe that's what they're getting at. Oh, can you tell I hate this? Look closer at all your favorite celebrities. They're inverted. They're trans like Baphomet. Hashtag expose the truth. Wake up. SMH. I don't know what FJB means. MAGA. Transvestigation. Truth seeker. Truth be told. Male skull, shoulders, clavicle, jaw, and everything else. They started off being like,
I will specify what I think is male about this woman.
And then just descended into,
No, it's literally just everything. She is man.
Who are they blaming now? Prince Stephen. Oh, Stephanie Grimaldi from Monaco. Transvestigation. Is that a princess? Princess Stephanie of Monaco. Oh, okay. I'd never heard of this person, honestly. And when I first read that, I thought that she'd played a character, Princess Stephanie, in a film called Monaco. Never mind. Males. Tiring.
I am tired of this.
There's not really much else to say. We just like giggling at them. Hashtag transvestigation. What is this? Anyone in doubt, do your own transvestigation tools. 1 man, 3 heads across shoulder. Woman, 2.5. Oh, this is not formatted very nicely. So they are saying that men's shoulders are 3 heads. So you've got the head bit in the middle, and then you've got one more head and one more head. And women are 2.5 heads. I am very curious how, with the margin of error of half a head, which is really not that much, unless they were to decapitate those people and use the head to measure against the shoulder width, or get a tape measure and get incredibly close, which I don't think these people are doing with celebrities, I don't see how you would be able to account for that margin of error using a photograph. It's a bit weird. It could literally just be wearing a thick jacket. That could be the difference between whether a transvestigator calls you a man or a woman. 2, index finger shorter than ring. Now, when you're measuring the fingers, it's not a thing that I ever was interested in looking at. I think it's a bit sketchy, but saying that, if you wanted to look into it, it's not just visually looking. You literally have to measure from the crease to the tip of each finger and compare. So if I do that, it looks like my index finger is longer, but I actually did get them measured and my ring finger is longer. So yes, don't do it. It doesn't determine who's a man or a woman, but if you insist, please just do it correctly. Good scientific method. Women opposite figured. Hips and torso. Oh, we just got rid of the number system. Okay, we went 1, 2, hips and torso. Buckle my shoe. Hips and torso, throat and the eyes of men further apart, women narrow. Did they do this back when Twitter had a really, really small character limit? Men jaw square. Men jaw square. Sounds like a very bizarre name. W long and narrow. Rocky Horror Gone Wild. This is something else. Okay, I'm using a lot of energy trying to decipher what they're saying. So they're trying to say that the hips and torso, throat and eyes of men are further apart and are narrower in women. Are they trying to say that the hips in women are narrower than in men? This is not clear. Men have jaw square. Not square jaw, it's jaw square. And women have long and narrow. Long and narrow what? I can assume they meant jaw, but really they could have meant anything. Rocky Horror Gone Wild. Indeed. Wow, what a fantasy.
You're living a fantasy.
Breast reduction surgery makes it easier to see the FTMs in front of the FTM equals female to male. I'm not gonna lie. I realized that FTM, see, it's an acronym I used to use back in the day, like 14 years ago, and probably up until the last few years. It's not really an acronym I use for myself or one that I see very often used by trans guys. Normally it's like trans guy that's used typically now, but I don't judge people who use it. But it is still something that my brain associates with trans men. But what I've noticed is that some people use it to mean first time mum. Now you can imagine my confusion trying to figure out why this person talking about having their baby had hashtagged their post FTM. It took me a minute. What are they saying? All of these celebrities who are guys have had breast reduction surgery. I think they just picked a bunch of guys who have pec muscles and they're saying that the shadow of their muscle is scar. So Will Smith, trans. Jamie Dornan, trans. Well, us Jamies. Orlando Bloom, trans. Amaury Malasco, trans. Austin Malone, trans. Sylvester Stallone, trans. Ben Foster, you guessed it, trans. Why? My go-to biomarker for FTMs is their breast. You'll find unnatural shapes and wonky nipples give them away nearly every time. I would just like to say, looking at the nippleage on display here, literally the only person who seems to actually have a visibly wonky nipple is Will Smith. But that's because he's standing a bit like this, which would naturally cause the nipples to be wonked. Trans guys' nipples can be some of the most perfect nipples you've ever seen, to be honest. They are surgically put on, you know? This is really interesting. Cis guys can have gynecomastia and have the exact same procedures that trans men have. It is more common for trans men to have had top surgery than cis men, but it's more common to be a cis man than to be a trans man. There's potentially just as many cis men who have had top surgery as there are trans men. Nothing in life is surefire, apart from that we're all going to die.
We're all gonna die.
Paul Scholes fails the forensic tests. I'm really sorry if I've just induced existential crises in people. I had one the other night, so now I'm making light of it so that it scares me less. Paul Scholes fails the forensic test / bio-female skull match. Paul Scholes. Okay, this guy was a footballer when I was a kid. This was like 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago or something. Why are they going after Paul Scholes? Okay, 5 times the female gait. Legs crossed.
Oh, he crossed his legs once.
1 foot behind the other. 1 times flamingo foot. But thanks for playing playing CSI with me. It's all of them, no exceptions. That's what it is, isn't it? That's why it doesn't make sense, because they are just under this belief that it is every celebrity who is trans. So therefore, they need to be able to find these like biomarkers and reasons in every celebrity as to why they're trans and to confirm the hypothesis. But you're going out of your way to look for things and then your results contradict each other. It's not a very good scientific test. It's actually terrible. It's not scientific at all. And then they're talking about the Q angle, which I believe is the way people walk. So because there's a couple photos of him with one leg behind the other, that makes him a woman. Yeah. Have had to begin my own transvestigations. There are secret Illuminati T-slurs everywhere. It's worldwide since way back before. Way back before when? What do they mean way back before?
Way back.
I mean, obviously it's transphobic, but yeah, some of them do just throw around the T-slur like it's, I don't know, I'm tired. I love that have had to begin my own transvestigations, as if they were like,
The world is being destroyed, and it is only me, the mighty transvestigator, who can save it.
I agree. No women in politics. G.K. Chesterton was right. No votes either. There is a massive deception going on, though. Elite gender inversion. Oh, hashtag EGI. That's what they mean. I wondered what that was. Look at the forensic evidence, mate. Just because you say you have forensic evidence to sound fancy doesn't mean that there is anything at all scientific or forensic about what you are doing. Elite leaders, including politicians, are predominantly gender inverted. See these accounts and learn the transvestigation. I wish I could do a good evil laugh. Elite gender inversion. Hashtag Ricky Martin and girl. Ricky Martin and girl. What? Swapped skulls. Vertical versus sloped forehead. Close set versus far apart eyes. Narrow versus wide cheekbones. Wide square versus narrow sloping jaw. Are they trying to say that Ricky Martin is a woman and the woman he is photographed with is a man? But then they said Ricky Martin and his new boyfriend living La Vida Loca. Like, they don't even know her name, but they've gone,
No, she must be. And we're going to assume that she's also a powerful celebrity, an elite gender invert.
what the hell? President's Day transvestigation. Oh, why not? Just a cheeky one. What a treat.
Treat yourself.
First Lady Jill Biden has a man neck. What? And the wonky eye. What does this mean? Transvestigator, transvestigate, transvestigation, wonky eye, Jill Biden. I'm so confused right now. I've never seen transvestigators mention that before or say what they mean by that. I literally have no clue, and I don't think I'm seeing what they're talking about. Maybe she just has astigmatism. I don't know. Right, the next two are a little bit of a treat.
Treat yourself.
For anybody who knows about prominent TERFs in the UK, this is quite hilarious what's coming up next. This is not how biological women sit. Transvestigation incoming. Person sitting in this chair here, I found a better quality image, is Kathleen Stock, a very prominent TERF from the UK. She's one of those TERFs that's written a book about it and has been involved in like free speech rows because she faced consequences for bigotry and was called out for it. But look, transvestigated. So the type of transphobe who would very likely not want a trans woman in the women's toilets is likely to be targeted and harassed in women's facilities. And that's likely to be increased the more transphobia increases, because really these bathroom policies that are transphobic and these trans exclusionary policies about gendered facilities don't just impact trans people, although it should be enough that they impact trans people very negatively, also impact gender non-conforming cis people, particularly gender non-conforming cis women like Kathleen Stock. And it's like people transvestigated J.K. Rowling as well. If you can hear that noise, it is raining. I'm in the UK. Summer is over.
It's over.
Did it ever begin? Not really. I hate the concept of transvestigators. I think it's invasive and I think it's rude and I just don't think it's something that should be happening, and I do think it is entirely ridiculous. However, I do find it hilariously ironic when transphobes are transvestigated. When people who campaign against trans rights, who don't want trans people in correctly gendered spaces, and it's mostly don't want trans women in women's spaces, and by doing that are likely putting themselves themselves at a higher risk of being harassed within gendered spaces, which is the very thing that they say they're trying to prevent. But funnily enough, trans-inclusive policies lead to safer public spaces, particularly for the trans people, funnily enough. But trans inclusion does not lead to any harm towards cis people. So they're literally opening themselves up to harassment in public spaces because they're being so transphobic. And another thing should do a hashtag transvestigation on Maya Forstater, as something is not right. Could be a cis woman, but could also be a trans woman. Maya Forstater became known because she was the one that kicked off the whole like JK Rowling publicly not being great towards trans people. And it very much started off as like,
I'm protecting a woman losing her job over saying things, blah blah blah.
Then JK Rowling quickly spiraled over the coming years, and Maya Forstater has stayed quite steadfast in her transphobia as well. Something that you may have heard Maya Forstater doing a few years back is a gender critical activist. Maya Forstater rages over gender identity of cartoon alien. In the latest episode of Confusing Outrage among so-called gender critical activists, Maya Forstater has deemed an alien reading mascot unsafe for children. No, really, seriously. Forstater's concerns centered around the fact that Tala was referred to in a press release using they-them pronouns, and she claimed in a tweet that a mother with her baby daughter that had attended Hitchin Library's Rhyme Time event had sent her a message: Bookstart Bear has been retired and replaced with Talia, a trans bear with they-them pronouns. I cannot express how upset I feel. Why do children need this? They're an alien. An alien. Are we really trying to gender and pronoun alien and put human feelings and anthropomorphize aliens now? Hitchin Library swiftly and hilariously responded to Forstater: just to confirm, Tala isn't trans, they are an alien. Instead of accepting that her outrage over the pronouns of a cartoon space creature designed to help children read may not have been needed, Maya Forstater doubled down in a lengthy rant about safeguarding. She tweeted, some more thoughts about Bookstart Bear and Tala, because no, I don't buy the sneering argument that this is not important. Stuff about young children and mothers is not beneath consideration. That's feminism. Library programs are one of the first outside things parents engage. This is so boring.
Bored now.
She just went on a rant. Somebody said, I don't think this is a problem. Aliens don't have to reproduce sexually. There's an advantage in having a character that isn't identifiably male or female, as it can be equally relatable to either sex and avoid promoting gender stereotypes. That is true. Maya replied, it seems highly unlikely that an alien that had evolved with such a recognizable vertebrate body plan is not sexually reproducing. It's a relatable anthropomorphic character, not a slime mold. Why are you thinking about the sexual reproduction capabilities of a cartoon alien mascot for a library? Honestly, I fear a hobby is needed beyond transphobia.
A hobby that's real.
Anyway, the reasons given for why transvestigators think Maya Forstater could be a trans woman, I'm sure this makes them seethe, like the thought that people might think that they are trans, and realizing that trans people are not this monolithic community that you can stick all in the same box and categorize like black and white, because it doesn't work like that. They all think they can always tell who's trans and who's not. Newsflash.
You cannot.
Anyway, high forehead like a man, wide manly neck, male pattern baldness, dense chin structure, wide manly chin shape, big hands, big feet, fleshy neck to hide the Adam's apple. That's what the transvestigators said. I just want to make it clear, just because I am taking a little bit of enjoyment at the irony of this does not mean I am liking the transvestigation that is going on. I do just think it is rather hilarious that these TERFs, and particularly people who really try to hide their transphobia behind being feminists, are being transvestigated. And transvestigation is also something that's deeply rooted in misogyny, but is also made so much worse by this increasing transphobia and this like comfortability in being publicly transphobic, which prominent TERFs have helped to promote. So it kind of feels like they are falling victim to the very thing that they have had at least a tiny to larger part in. I'm not saying these TERFs specifically, but transphobes generally who are public have had a part to play in the rise of transvestigators being so prominent. And nobody is safe from transvestigation.
No one is safe.
You get famous because you're a transphobe, they'll still think you're trans. I'm so glad you're exposing the deceivers on Fox
666.
News. See below an EGI collection of the close set and soft eyes, weak chin, soft jawline, wonky eye, again, female skull, no neck, men of Fox. Hold on, but I thought that they just called Jill Biden a man for having a wonky eye. And now they're calling all of these men women for having wonky eyes and a bunch of other things. This is ridiculous. ridiculous though. But look, let's just take one thing. Weak chin, okay? This guy in the top left, not a weak chin. Guy underneath him, not a weak chin. Then a bunch of the other ones, I can't really fully see the shapes of their chins, but they do not appear to have weak chins. And then this dude here has the squarest goddamn chin I've ever seen. It's like a squared off tennis ball has been placed under his bottom lip. Like, what are you saying? He's got a weak chin. Jeez. And a soft jaw. I don't think any of these guys have a soft jaw. Like, even if some of them did fit into these arbitrary, weird as things that these transvestigators have decided determines if you're a man or a woman, it's still wrong. However, I don't think any of these guys fit any of the criteria, and they all look quite different to one another. So it's so ridiculous to say that this collection of 7 men who look different to one another, who are all by Western stereotypes masculine and present masculinely, it's really weird to just go as a collection for all of these same reasons. This is a bunch of women. My favorite transvestigator just created this masterpiece that says The Rock and Frank Zappa are trans men and that Caitlyn Jenner is a D-trans woman. I've heard of this before. That's how they explain actual trans celebrities like Elliot Page, that they transitioned twice. And so now them publicly transitioning is actually them reverting back to the OG like assigned birth sex. I know. I also find it really interesting that they go after The Rock a lot. The Rock knows she can display her vacant crotch with impunity. She knows the world is blind. They're really just making year 6 looking PowerPoint presentations like
The Rock doesn't have a penis.
What's the funniest instance of transvestigation and why is it this? Matilda McConaughey's curvy female spine. And it's just a very unfortunate photo of Matthew McConaughey dancing about in water or doing something in water where he's been caught mid doing something. And they're like,
Oh, his back is ever so slightly bent. Ever so slightly. Therefore, he has the curvy spine of a woman.
I feel like I've seen this photo before, but it is too funny an instance of transvestigation to not include again.
Classic.
It's entirely possible. I'm convinced that Britney and Sandra Bullock are. The only thing, though, is that certain traits can be on a female, such as a wide chin. I have cousins like that. Oh, because you have cousins like that, it's okay. I've seen Britney Spears naked and she is a woman. I highly doubt that this person has seen Britney Spears in the nude. That is it for today's installment of Transvestigations. What did you think? Go leave a comment down below. Think about giving the video a thumbs up and subscribing if you want to, but no pressure. You can also go support me over on my Patreon if you want to. It just helps me keep creating the content that I'm creating, and it's very, very lovely, but you don't have to if you don't want to. You'll see some names going up the screen of some of my Patreons, and I want to give a big shout out to my top tier Patreons: Ginger Blues, Albar, Bildad the Sweet, Chloe, Dylan Irving, Eldon K, Gosco, Iona Balash, Jesse Entwistle, Marv Mallow, Max Makes Mods, Night Soul Nesta, Rachel Raptor, Randy, Riley Ray, River Shampoo Mon, Sally Drew, Sarah Hobbs, Sienna Lamb, Slayer, Spring Metal Dragon, Sugar Joe, TNS Mum, the Paisley Prince, and the Third Hat Man. Thank you so much for your support. And thank you so much for watching this video, everybody. If you liked it, I already did that bit, but thanks for watching. Yeah, much love. I'll see you next time. Bye.